Bassing fans, K Pink here with the after Derby report. This is something I'm going to start doing this year after every Derby. I'm trying to do it, at the ramp, in the water, in the campground, that sort of thing. It was so miserable down at Lake Amistad. I got to tell you, all I wanted to do was get away from that place. All right, tough Derby, ultra tough Derby. A bunch of us kind of renamed the lake Lake Suckastad. Because it pretty much sucked. 13 pounds a day to win any tournament down there is absolutely horrible. When you got 168 boats, 168 pros and 168 co-anglers, and at the end of 2 days you got 30 of the pros that don't catch a keeper fish on Lake Amistad, that's wrong. Okay, that's just wrong on a bunch of different levels. I don't know what's going on with the fishing down there. It wasn't just the weather, the water conditions. There's something a little bit jacked up. I just hope that when it warms up, that the fish show back up. All right, so here's how I caught them. First day, never had a bite. Had ice in the team lose rods until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Wind blowing out of the north. It was one of the most miserable days that I have ever spent on the water anywhere. Yeah, like I said, never had one single stinking bite. It was pretty frustrating. When I got back to the house at night, I cut everything off that I had tied on. Went out the next morning, whole new attitude, whole new selection of baits. And what I started targeting, what I started looking for, was flats. And this is something to remember if you're going to Lake Amistad anytime soon. Hopefully after it warms up. Start targeting flats that were in 10, the top of the flat was 10 to 12 foot, and it fell. The best ones had a real steep drop, fell off into, say, 50 to 60 foot of water, okay? And every one of them was located at the mouth of a major pocket or at the mouth of a major creek, within say, a fourth of the way into the pocket, a fourth of the way into the creek, all right? First bite that I had, fortunately, was a five. It's probably a 5.5, 5 3/4. Bit my little Mega Bass 110. I have absolutely no idea what color that is. It's one of those Okinawa, Okigichi, Gichigami, cat sausage, whatever color it is. I don't know. Really like the baits, but don't understand the coloring scheme. Let's throw it on a team lose 6/8 medium light fast. Some 8-pound or some 10-pound Vicious Pro Elite fluorocarbon, and BB1 Pro Series reel. I caught 3 of the 4 on that, just working. Most of them were right on the edge of the drop, right as it would go from that 10 to 12 off to off into 50 60. They're right on the edge of the drop. I wound up catching one keeper fish, and I got one huge bite on chunking the poodle. And I was my little poodle rig here is made by a buddy of mine. It's got one of the cool features I like. You can add little blades to it, and if you want to take the blades off, it's got these little clips on there where you can actually take the blades off, or you can put like dummy heads on there with little swim baits up on the wires. You can do several different things with it. I was using a little Zoom swimming. Super Fluke Junior, Jewel jig rig, what are those called? Rig heads, Jewel rig heads, that's what they are. 3/16 on the outside, one's 5/16 on the center. Throwing it out there, letting it fall down, counting to 10 or 12, slow reeling it back. One of the things that got me in trouble, one of the things that cost me a check, and this is K Pink's tip for the day. Woo! K Pink's tip for the day. Here it is. I was using all these rig heads all the way around. Wanted an open hook, fishing around some timber, so when I get it hung up, I was using 50-pound braid, Team Lose TL79 HC. It's a big swim bait rod. It's got the Palmer reel support. Using a BB2 reel. Chunk it out there, count it down. Every once in a while I get hung in one of those trees. The nice thing about these rig heads is they've got a kind of a medium wire must-have hook in them with that 50-pound braid. If you do get it hung in a tree, you can just straighten out the hook a little bit, get your rig back without having to lose it, okay? One of the bad things is, and this is something to remember, from now on my center, I'm not so worried about it on the outside ones because they're flexible, but if you have a big fish hit that center wire and you're using a light wire hook and you've got your drag cranked all the way down, guess what happens? Boom, straighten that sucker right out. And it was one of those bites that like jarred your teeth when he hit, and there was nothing there. All right, from now on, what I will do is if I want an open hook, I will go with a little Jewel Swim Gem that's got this heavier Amistad hook in it. They're not going to straighten that sucker out. Or if I want something that's weedless, I go with the little Amistad Power Lock Plus. That's a 91 768 hook with a little spring lock on the top, adjustable weight. Comes in several, a lot of different sizes, several different weights. So if I want something, if I want a weedless swim bait, this is what I'll use. If I want to go open hook, I'll go with the Swim Jig head, just on that center wire. Because when you're chunking that thing, here's your braid coming down. It's straight in line. So whatever force that hits that hook, man, it's just a straight shot. Now these, you got a little bit of flexibility on the sidearms, so I'm not as worried about those. But that one bite, if I'd gotten a fish in the boat, which most of the time you will on one of these, obviously I would have gotten a check and would have felt a little bit better about the trip. But hey, I learned something. Hopefully you can learn something from my misfortune. That's what K-Pink's Derby Report is all about. So, first episode of the Derby Report. Going to wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time. K-Pink, peace out.